November 1st, and joining us in the studio on the other side of the chair is Megan Simone. Megan, how are you?
It's so great to be back here. I have not been on this side in forever, ever. I don't think I've ever been a guest on the show.
Wow.
This is really fun.
And you're not going to be today, so you have no.
Right.
Okay. So, Megan, today we're going to talk about Toastmasters of Conway.
You bet. Toastmasters is it's an international organization. There's over 300,000 members worldwide, over 150,000 clubs, I think, worldwide. Wow. And there's a club here in the Mount Washington Valley. It was chartered about a year and a half ago. There's another club in Moultonborough. And then if you were to go to a place like Portland, Maine, there's probably 10 clubs in the city.
Yeah.
So it was really great that Toastmasters was able to come to the Mount Washington Valley. Toastmasters is a nonprofit public speaking and leadership group. So for anyone who wants to develop their public speaking or leadership skills in any capacity, and we can get into what any capacity really means, this is a perfect group for them to join. It's really laid back. It's a non-competitive, very supportive environment, non-threatening. So anyone who's working on things from just wanting to be less awkward on a first date to needing to improve their public speaking skills in a work capacity, maybe trying to advance to get a promotion, or even anyone in the service industry here in the Mount Washington Valley. Maybe they're looking to up their sales behind the bar if they're a bartender or a server or work at a hair salon or retail, and they just want to be more confident. You know, what is your body language saying about you when you talk? How is your language? Are you using a lot of filler words that'll make people judge? Do they know what they're talking about? Are they confident about what they're talking about? So there's such a wide range of things that really encompass public speaking and leadership.
Absolutely.
That there's many reasons people come. And some people come to our meetings just for the yucks. There's a guy out of Harrison, Maine who is hilarious. He is a storyteller. He's really funny. He always makes us laugh. But he just comes for the laughs, and he also comes to improve his humor storytelling and to sort of, get his stories a little bit more concise.
Awesome.
So 15-minute stories are now 10-minute stories.
And what is the age range that you have there? Or what age range is welcome?
Anyone can join. Anyone can come to the meeting. Anyone can join. I think if you are under 18, you have to either come with a parent or bring permission that you're allowed to be at the meeting. I'm not sure why that is, but we've wanted to, invite the high school kids who maybe are looking to, maybe they have to debate or have to give a speech, or they are interested in a career in business or whatever the case may be, for them to come to the meetings as well, just because there's so much they can learn.
Absolutely.
And kids these days, they're doing so much non-personal communication on their devices. I always wonder, I don't have kids, so I'm always wondering, what is it like with kids today on their devices? Do they forget how to talk to humans?
I think they do. Is there a Toastmasters iPhone app? That you can
right. Well, there is an iPhone app, and it is loaded with information.
But I think that's such a valid point, and not just for kids in high school, but really anybody. That's the conversation. Go to a restaurant, and you see 6 people sitting around a table, all of them on their phone.
Right.
And so I think we have lost that art of communication. Yeah. We were just a few minutes ago bantering back and forth with Chris and Hans when you came in.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a lost art, and I don't want to blame it all on iPhones, but we can blame a little bit on it. So I think any opportunity where people have a chance to talk is so important. We all took public speaking in high school, back in the Stone Age, and I think that's an element that people have lost a lot of. So I think this obviously this is an opportunity for people to improve their speaking ability and not keep going on and just wasting time and excess verbiage with no point at all, just talking and talking and talking. What's the point?
And at each,
she missed my point there.
Each meeting is pretty structured. It's the same format for every meeting, unless we're having a special theme meeting. But there's a section of the meeting called Table Topics, which is actually one of my favorite sections. And we pick a theme each week. So, for example, Freiburg Fair Week, we obviously did a Freiburg Fair theme.
Right.
And Table Topics are 1 to 2 minute impromptu speeches on that theme. So the topics master will get up and say something like, okay, now the Freiburg Fair is such a fun event, everyone goes for the food. Megan, why don't you come up and tell us about your favorite Freiburg Fair food? So I don't know the question in advance. The person tells it to me, and then I have about 5 seconds from when I stand up out of my chair and get up to the front of the room to think about what I'm going to say. And it helps you with your impromptu
Absolutely.
speaking on your feet. And that's been huge for me because I interview people a lot in my line of work, and I need to be able to constantly be able to think quick on my feet and give answers that seem legitimate and confident. And so within the impromptu speeches that are 1 to 2 minutes, you work on eye contact, body language, how many filler words are you using. We have an counter at every meeting that counts for each person how many words you might use. But, so, you know, like, you know, all those filler words.
They need a couple pages for me, I think.
It's neat to see people's progression. And so, you know, some people will start off and they'll have 15 ahs in the first meeting. And then by the third, fourth meeting, they might have 3. And we notice it as a group, and we commend people and we talk about it. And it's just a great way to learn
Well, I think
how you're doing.
that's such an interesting thing, because everybody does use those filler words. I know I do. And when the fact that you can cut those down, and because I'm sure everybody's thinking, oh, I'll never be able to do it. I use like all the time. I'll never be able to cut it down. But if you focus it, you can. And I think that's a very important part. I've noticed, it was interesting, before you and I went on air, I was listening to you talk. I'm going, Megan is not saying or ah. I noticed that. And I think that that's something that obviously you've worked on.
Oh, it's a challenge, but I do work on it through Toastmasters.
That's great. So how does
somebody?
somebody?
I still say on all the time. And
Well, you just said it twice there.
when I'm thinking. You know, everyone does it naturally. But it's funny, after I started going to Toastmasters meetings, and I started going in 2012, mainly a friend of mine actually from Santa Fe, she's in Toastmasters out there, and I had to give a presentation at a national conference that I was going to. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been on TV since whenever, 1995, but I'm petrified of speaking in public because, here it's like the invisible audience. And she goes, oh, you really should try Toastmasters. And I was like, what's Toastmasters? A bunch of people just giving toast? And so I had to go to a meeting to figure it out, but that's sort of why I ended up getting involved. And then even from there, now listening to the radio, debates on television, it's so funny to the things that you pick up on that you've learned in Toastmasters, and you kind of like, oh, that guy doesn't really know what he's talking about, or no, maybe
interesting.
It's.
Well, I think for political season that would be fascinating to be able to. So how does somebody get involved?
They can come to one of our meetings. They are the first, third, and if there is a fifth Wednesday, we will have meetings on the fifth Wednesday.
So basically every other week. Every other Wednesday. 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Granite State College. It's down in the Tech Village down in Conway. It's the second floor, top floor, far corner. Yeah.
And just stop by. We usually start gathering anytime after 6, but the meetings, we try to start right on time, end on time. That's another aspect of Toastmasters is timing, staying on track, if you have an allotted time for this particular segment of the meeting, trying to stick to that segment. So you're not only learning public speaking, leadership, because some people go, there's some people in the group that really need to work on public speaking for work, and then there's other people who, public speaking is a component, but that more of the leadership and managing people.
Interesting.
That's another whole component to it. And so keeping the meetings on track, we have general evaluators who evaluate the entire meeting so that we can all learn, like, where did we fall short this time? What were we really good at? So there's all sorts of things. We have timers, grammarians. Oh, that's another great position. There's this woman she's a linguistics professor, and she is a Toastmaster, I think, in Hong Kong, New Zealand, and here, because she works all over the world.
Yeah.
And we love when she is in town, because she'll give us a really incredible grammarian report. So she evaluates us all on our use of grammar, which is extremely helpful, because I struggle with that immensely.
Well, I think that's another downfall of the iPhone generation and the computer generation, in that we don't think about it because it does it for us.
Right.
And so we don't think of it also when we're speaking.
Right.
Because we don't speak good.
Yeah, exactly.
Gooder.
Or
we need to speak gooder.
We're LOL, BRB, all the acronyms. Oh, speaking, this is totally unrelated, but the Toastmasters District Conference is going on, I think, in the next few days in Canada. And our district is Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, goes up into Canada. And one of our Toastmasters from our club here, Andrea Libby of Libby Computer, won the humorous contest, which was done regionally. So she advanced to the district level. And it's a super funny speech. So if you like humor, if you like TED Talks, humor, comedy, Toastmasters really has something for everything. So anyway, she's going up to compete at the like district level in Canada at the annual conference up there.
That's great. I know Andrea, and I can just picture her.
Yeah,
saying,
she's funny. She is so funny.
That's great. So, do you have a website?
It is. Is it on the screen?
Now it is.
It's one of those
MWVTM.
MWVTM. So that stands for Mount Washington Valley Toastmasters.toastmastersclubs.org.
So Toastmasters Clubs, it doesn't say clubs.
MWVToastmastersclubs.org. Or you can just go to toastmasters.org and you will eventually find our club. It's MWV Toastmasters. Obviously, we're in the Mount Washington Valley. Or we are on Facebook. And I think on our Facebook page, we also recently posted a video that we filmed at one of our meetings where one of our members talked about how to properly hold a microphone.
Yeah.
Because so many times, if people are given a microphone, they bring it up, they start talking, and they say, oh gosh, that was really loud. When really it was loud to you, but not to everybody else. Then they drop the microphone down here. Then the guy running the mic has to jack up the
and then
thing.
they move their mic
then you
up.
get feedback, and it's a disaster. It sounds awful. So if you want to learn how to properly hold a microphone, use a microphone, we have a good video on our Facebook page on YouTube.
Great.
So our meetings, again, first, third, fifth Wednesdays of every month, 6:30 to 8 p.m. We try to be prompt. You don't have, if someone wants to just come and experience a meeting, you don't have to say a word. You can just come and sit and experience a meeting, see what it's about. Because it can be a little confusing at first because there's so many different positions and so much going on, but every meeting's structured the same. So it took me like a couple, 2 meetings to figure out, oh, okay, this is how it is every time. And we also have workbooks that we...
Workbooks?
Yeah. Well, to track our progress.
Okay.
And you don't have to do it. Some people do it, some people don't. There's a leadership workbook and there's a competent communicator workbook. So, for example, if you're the Toastmaster for one meeting, that falls more under the leadership category. If you are the timer or the grammarian, I think table topics, there's a couple other positions that you can, if you're the general evaluator, you can, do little projects in here that'll help you monitor your progress. And then with the competent communicator workbook, there's 10 different speeches in here that you can do as a guide. You can do whatever you want, but this is a guide. And the first one obviously is the icebreaker. So everybody who wants to start talking usually starts with their icebreaker, which is a speech where they tell you something about themselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, I was born in North Conway, New Hampshire back in da-da-da-da. It can be that you love horses and you talk to us just about your horse and experience. So
that's great.
Really fun, but 6:30 to 8 Wednesdays.
And your next meeting is November 4th.
November 4th.
Is that what it says on your piece of paper there?
Oh, yes. That is, our next meeting is November 4th. And November 6th through 8th, the conference is in New Brunswick, Canada. That's right. So Andrea Libby is competing in New Brunswick. But our next meeting is this Wednesday, November 4th.
Well, that's great. Well, Meg, thanks so much for coming down and telling us about that.
Come on and join us. It's a fun time. I'll be there. Yeah, good laughs. Again, people come for professional, personal development, or just for the yucks.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, Meg, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
I'm sure we'll see you again.
What are we doing next?
What are we doing next?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where are we going?
Hans, what are we doing next? Chris hates when I ask that question. Hans, what are we doing next? We'll be back in a minute here on White Mountains Today.